Should property investors buy now or wait? Really, it's kind of the proof's in the pudding at the moment. There's never really been a better time to buy other than now. And every time it seems we're going to have market's going to fall off a cliff, fixed rate, mortgage death, the market's going to drop, really hasn't dropped to these expectations that people are thinking of. Based on the data and what we're seeing, that the market is still looking very, very strong. We've got a $10 trillion real estate market in Australia, basically split up into thirds of 33% have no mortgage, 33% are renting, 33% do have a mortgage. So there's a large part of the Australian property market that doesn't have a mortgage. So our fixed mortgage cliffs of 350 billion compared to 10 trillion, see a lot smaller than what the media is putting out there. So we're seeing these fixed rates come off in renewal, and people are really fighting to hold on to their mortgages. You know, people don't want to sell their house. They're obviously looking at ways of how can I get more work, more income, etc., etc. They don't want to lose their property as they've seen that it's become more and more valuable. So people are really holding on there. The defaults that we're expecting to see at this point in time haven't really come to fruition. And I think the people sitting on the sideline going, oh, I can't wait for everyone to the bed and not be able to pay their mortgage.
Shots fired!
They're probably the same people that thought about COVID. Oh, it's going to fall off a cliff during COVID. It completely went the wrong way. And if we kind of look at that over history, there's never really been a massive fall off the cliff in these kind of, really strong capital city markets. The time, obviously, if we can afford it, is always going to be now. And I've never heard anyone say, I'm so glad I sold my property 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago. Everyone say, I wish I held that property. I wish I had that in my possession. Wouldn't you love to just rewind the clock? And if someone said, hey, you can go and buy 20 properties during COVID when lending was cheap and all that type of stuff, you would have jumped at it. We probably all were a bit cautious and not sure what's going to happen. And that's probably the same, predicament that we find ourselves in. If you're in a position to go, obviously I'm very active, I'm investing myself, so that's your own decision to do that. But if you're sitting on the sidelines and waiting for this, fixed rate mortgage cliff and all these things that are going to happen, from what I'm seeing, I just don't think it's going to happen. Really, the longer you wait, the more you're going to miss out. And it's not really timing the market, it's time in the market. Even if you paid slightly overs back in 1990 and you've still got that property now, you'd be absolutely laughing. Even if it was 5 years ago, rather than quabbling over $5,000 or $10,000 on the purchase price, you would have made yourself a bucket load of equity. And that's kind of the main thing with real estate. The more assets you can hold, the longer you can hold them, the more wealth you should be making if they're in fundamentally good growth areas over time. For anyone kind of sitting on the sidelines, maybe reevaluate where you're at, because those opportunities that you're looking for aren't really going to be coming. Obviously, construction has slowed down. It's pretty much going off a cliff. No one's doing new builds. We've got migrants coming back in this country, pre-COVID levels. They all need a roof over their head. So we're seeing, obviously, even in the Sydney market, your rental crisis, people lining up, 100 people going to open home, try and get a roof over their heads. Till there is an absolute massive amount of new dwellings being built, which is very difficult with how expensive things are and people not being able to get finance. Anyone who's got an existing property, it's only going to get more and more valuable. People will start to realise that in some areas it's going to be cheaper to buy than rent. And so when you're not renting and you're buying, it starts to push the prices up. It kind of seems to bounce back and forth with what we're seeing over time. That when yields are high, that's obviously when the growth is forecasted as well. And it's just a supply and demand issue from what we're seeing. There's too many people with houses and there's not enough houses to put these people in. I hope that gives a bit of an insight from what I'm seeing on my kind of professional side of things. Love to get your thoughts. Throw some love or hate in the comments, I don't mind. If you want to chat about that, look at some different options, see if you can get into the market rather than sitting on the sidelines, feel free to reach out. Look forward to helping you there. Cheers.